There you had it, Flash vs. Bly, great series, but coming up against it, we're about to see another great series, the same tournament. Fast forward just a little bit to the semifinals. MC versus Life, the winner would take on the winner of Innovation versus Flash, become the first MLG champion in 2013. Let's take a look at the first game of this great series.
From the Viper play. And with that,
I didn't know I had the power.
You
do. Started the game.
The power is in your hands. Jeff has just hit the start game button. Ladies and gentlemen, game 1 of semifinal 2 starting right now between Life and MC.
Audience has been great all weekend long. Big shout out to you guys as well. Thank you for being here. It is Championship Sunday. Today, a champion will be crowned. Will it be Life? Will it be MC? Or will it be Flash?
1 Terran, 1 Zerg, 1 Protoss remain in this tournament. Spawning in the top right position. Every other Zerg eliminated 0-3 or 1-3 in the very early rounds. For the second time, Life is the only Zerg remaining in this tournament. If you'd like them to win, give a cheer for StarTales Life!
Ladies and gentlemen, in the opposite corner, the man, the myth, the legend, one of the most successful players in all of StarCraft 2. Please give a cheer for SKMC. We will see that pylon go down at the pretty, I mean, that's just going to be a Nexus first. I know that MC and a lot of the other Korean Protosses like to go Forge first just to be safer. But it will be that kind of expand build.
You know, it's interesting, Parting really popularized the 16 Nexus before Forge with no scouting.
Yeah.
And even with pretty much all the major Protosses going for that, MC, since the dawn of time, has almost always gone 15 Forge. He's not messing around. He knows how vulnerable early expands are if you can get the cannon rush off.
Yep. He
knows how vulnerable he is if the Zerg gets the early pool off. So I just like that consistency over time.
I do too. I like the ability to make, I mean, you nailed it. You said he either says, okay, he went hatch first, that's a silly decision. I'm going to go ahead and cannon rush you. Or he says, you're trying to get a cheap win off of me. I'm going to be in position to make sure that that is in fact not the case. So I do like that MC plays safe because we've seen this time and time again too. MC actually, it's almost a criticism against him, but how do you criticize a guy that's won more money than almost anybody else? He's aggressive in the mid game. He's a timing-oriented Protoss. He's a 2 or 3 base timing guy. Oh, that's a 17 for us, essentially.
Still Forge first consistently.
Yeah. Even with scouting the spawning pool timing too.
Yeah. I mean, just does not want to take any of those risks. I mean, there are a number of really funky things Zergs can do where they can go pool first and then throw down the gas, take the expansion, do one of those crazy cancels into some sort of all-in. I mean, MC just saying, you know where my strength is, Life, in the late game.
And he wants to take it there. And, I mean, that also actually is in alignment with the metagame for ZVP in Heart of the Storm as well. I mean, so many times we've just talked about this at the beginning, that Swarm host, it makes a huge presence in the mid-game, not so much in the late game. Like, late game, I mean, you'll see it every once in a while, but once that Protoss transitions to Sky Toss or they have, like, 6 Colossus, Swarm hosts don't really do nearly as much in terms of holding down that Protoss.
Yeah, I mean, simply put, late game, a lot of expansions all over the place. Swarm hosts are terrible at defending a lot of different locations at once. Mobility is the big key in those late games, and it looks like Life, wow, going really old school. 4-minute third base.
Yeah.
In fact, only has 1 queen at this point in time. This is the opening that most Zergs consider too risky.
Yeah, it's because that Mama Core offers so much support to just a few gateway units in the endeavor of trying to pick off a queen or two or harassing the drones or even just forcing out slow lings off that larva that otherwise would be made for drones. So that's why a lot of Zergs have steered clear for this, but I'll tell you, he did this all 3 times against Minigun in his initial series against said player. And the whole time, I found myself doubting, and I was like, well, what does he do against this? But his micro and his decision-making is so immaculate that he actually just kind of gets by the skin of his teeth.
Now, we did just see this probe do a ring around the Rosie inside the main of Life, and there's a couple of key things that he picked up on. Absolutely no gas in the main base. A 4-minute, 30-second gas timing is key for most of the early all-ins, so that way MC could have crossed that off, except he saw the single geyser down at 5 minutes at the natural expansion. That can be a sign of some sort of aggression to come. Given what we've seen, it's likely going to be Ling speed out of Life.
Yeah, we've seen that from Life, both into ZVT and ZVP. The ling speed allows him to get just map control. He's going to look around for those pylons, make sure that no timing just kind of occurs outside of his base. And we've actually seen that in a few of the PVZs during this weekend as well, where I think it was actually Parting executing a 7-gate, I want to say, against Sen. almost purely because his probe was just playing James Bond in the bushes outside of the base.
It looks like Zealot, Stalker, and Stargate. You know, a lot of players stopped going Stargate, and Wings of Liberty said it was too weak, too many defensive options for Zerg, except for MC continued to go Void Ray Phoenix right up until the very end of Wings of Liberty. And here we see him not only being able to utilize that strength once again, but certainly the Oracles are an option.
Yeah, MC's got to find himself really comfortable with the Stargate tech. I mean, we saw it all throughout his PvTs throughout this weekend as well, but as you said, in Wings of Liberty, he was the guy at the end of every tournament still playing Protoss, still winning games, still going Stargate, so there has to be something said for that. But in Heart of the Swarm, we find Stargate to be much, much more diverse with that Oracle, with the more powerful Void Ray, and of course, even with the more powerful Phoenix. So I do anticipate that it'll just go straight Phoenix. It seems to be kind of the color. As I say that, it's actually an Oracle. So what I meant to say is I anticipate an Oracle, actually. I think that's what's coming up.
A strong read, Jeff.
Yeah.
And, you know, I like that MC is actually going double Stalker plus that one Zealot. He does think that early Zergling speed could be a thing, an extremely swift layer out of life as well, but Zergling speed not done yet. This looks like MC, all he's trying to do is soften up this Queen so that way the Oracle can sweep in and deal massive damage.
Now, I gotta say, MC did skip the Mothership Core. I think that's so that he gets the faster Stargate and gets these gas units out there. Of course, as we can see now, he might want to circle around to it, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is these Stalkers are surrounded and they're probably going to go down.
But there's the Oracle arriving just in time, and the Zerglings will only kill one of the gateway units, and now MC's turning around, charging forward, but will that Oracle be out of energy?
Yeah, it took 25 energy to start its beam up. It does have a few energy here still off that activation. And they're going to do some damage here. A lot of these drones starting to go down actually by a lot. I don't mean to say a lot, in fact, just 3 in total. But the more important thing here is, again, the Larva's going to have to be spent on Zerglings at a time where I don't know that Life wants to be doing that. He still wants to be droning.
Yet again, we see fast tech to layer straight into Hydralisk. The Zerglings overrun the ground forces, but the Phoenixes are there to pick off the Overlords. Now, ordinarily, you'd think that the Hydralisks are the perfect answer to Phoenixes, but in small number, the Phoenixes rock the Hydras. What does that mean? Life needs to make a lot of Hydras, and therefore Life's follow-up transition is going to be way late. He can't get away with what Lenok did and just make 3 Hydras and then go swarm those.
You're exactly right, but I do think the thing that is going in favor of Life is that he is successfully going from Ling to Hydralisk without that Roach kind of buffer in between, and he's not at risk of a gateway timing. So while the Hydralisk in small numbers will not be good against the Phoenix, if they can get to that cluster, this Robo just now approaching about 40% complete means that we're not going to see any splash, and Hydralisk deal a lot of DPS if they're not facing Colossus.
Yeah, Hydras are amazing against just basic ground units. However, there is a weird way to deal with it with Phoenix Gateway unit. Only time I've ever seen someone execute it well is MC himself.
He's the guy that can do that.
And there he is picking off the Hydras in those low numbers. Really be able to lift up the remainder. It looks like he will lose a Phoenix. Gosh, those Hydralisks deal so much damage.
They don't take a whole lot of guff, Day9. They actually are pretty angry little guys. There's going to be 4 Phoenix heading back, still a 5th coming out. So he is, it looks like he's stopping there. Robotics Bay does go down. No 3rd just yet. I think the 3rd would be the trigger point. I think if MC actually does decide to drop this Nexus, which it looks like he might, this is where Life is going to spring to action.
Yeah, with those 7 Hydralisks almost finished, +1 almost done. 10 seconds until Hydralisk speed. MC needs to retreat. He's going to need a pullback.
This is a no loitering zone. You guys got to get the heck out of here. The Hydras are on their way. Zerglings have informed the Zerg swarm that there is, in fact, a 3rd base going down under the weight of Zealots, Sentries, and just a couple of Stalkers. As you said, though, the Phoenix do contribute to this fight, but if the Hydralisk count keeps rising like this, the likelihood of that happening becomes a little bit more diminished.
Life will be trying to cut off those reinforcements. Hydralisk going to step into the natural expansion. 3rd base taking a lot of damage.
And there's the Guardian Shield going up. It looks like MC wants to engage. There's a good force field. Zerglings and some Hydra stuff on the other side, but there's enough Hydras here where I'm not sure he has the DPS. A good concave from Life. Great micro. Phoenix are not picking up Hydras. There they go. They're going to start doing that. There's still a large army for MC at the top of this ramp. Who's going to come out on top? It looks like MC might hold on, but there's still reinforcements coming over here. Life, never mind. Life pushes in.
Hydras starting to swarm the front. 20 Link 7 Hydras in production. The speed upgrade, and in a few seconds, range is going to go down. MC does have the Mothership Core up, but that's not going to help as much. A few more seconds until that Colossus is out.
Oh, this is a fresh young Mama Core. It doesn't even have the energy for the ability to put that laser beam at the top of the Nexus. And we can see the time stop does go down, time warp, excuse me. Nexus now being focused down. There's only 4 Stalkers here, 2 Sentries, not a lot of DPS. Another warp in of Zealots, but Zealots don't handle Hydra Zergling very well.
And now the Colossus coming out so late. Life takes down the 3rd base.
And he's going to march on forward. He's actually won kind of a small battles there, so we might say, why don't I just try to end the game right now? I think with that Colossus out, still no range, so it is actually kind of a liability with the ranged Hydralisk here, but they're going to come knocking down. I feel like MC should hold here, but losing that third is such a blow to his chances of winning. Yeah,
it's really unclear if Life has gotten a huge lead. He's definitely gotten somewhat of a lead. This attack is going to be significant.
He's going for it.
Yeah, this could
Holy cow.
This could be a death blow right now by Life, or it could be sacrificing all these expensive units. The Colossus still standing strong.
The Colossus is still there, exactly as D9 said. It's packing such a wallop, but it's getting low on health. The second Colossus steps out. This one has full health. It is still just Ling Hydralisk, and a fourth base does go down behind us as well as a Spire. The Spire could produce Corruptors, and that could be a really tough burden on MC for just 2 base economy.
I mean, the Spire is certainly an excellent transition, but check out the units lost tab. Hydralisks, even though they deal the damage and they're fast, they're very expensive and they have very low health. So that's a lot of losses from MC.
They are squishy, and they did the damage of canceling the third, but to Day9's point, look at that, not production, excuse me, but the supply up there. They're actually equal in supply, and that's a really weird place for a Zerg to be. He's actually got a lot of money. Is he going to make a bunch of Mutalisks? I think he's making 13 Mutalisks here in a second.
I absolutely agree.
Mutalisks an interesting switch.
Very clever in this position.
There it is.
Again, mobility is the big key in Heart of the Swarm. It's not about who packs the bigger punch. It's about who can be in more places at once.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And there's just 2 Phoenix surviving all that Hydralisk harass because they did have to get their hands dirty.
Oh no, the Observer's going to see everything. All the gateways going down. Life is now aware that he needs to deal with an all-in counter swing.
19 Mutalisks are about to emerge onto this field. Even the ground army lacks anti-air. 4 Stalkers and a few sentries. That's simply not going to cut it. Life is holding back, by the way. He's not showing up right away. He's massing them up, and then it looks like he's going to roll out right now, but this is kind of it's not necessarily a critical mass, but it's enough where they're going to show up and potentially just end the game with the amount of damage they're going to deal here.
Not a critical mass, but a notable one. There's a lot of Mutalisks heading in towards a natural expansion, and there they pop in. MC caught by surprise, pulls the probes as quickly as he can and says, good game, Life.
Sometimes you just got to tip over your king when you know the game's over, and that was one of those scenarios. He did not have enough Phoenix to deal with that. No range upgrade on said Phoenix, so they were probably going to get killed just by the micro of the battle anyways. And then his ground army, like I said,
how you like them Mutas? A really cool low econ game from Life with the Hydra Bust into the Muta follow-up, takes down MC and goes on eventually to win the series and meet Flash in the grand finals. We might get to that game later. Of course, now is the time to get in your votes. Which game was better? Bly versus Flash or MC versus Life? Submit your entry with a hashtag MLG on Twitter, in addition to a hashtag either MC versus Life or Flash versus Bly. Put in your votes. We'll take a break. We'll be right back with another set of games.